If you're thinking about moving to Lubbock, Texas, this video might make you reconsider. I moved to Lubbock a little over 10 years ago, and since I've lived here, I've learned a lot about living in Lubbock, about things in Lubbock that I wish I'd known sooner, that I only learned once I moved here. So today in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 15 things about Lubbock that might make you reconsider. If you can't handle them, Lubbock may not be for you, simply put. So let's get after it. Number 1, Lubbock is very wide and very open, which means wide open spaces for miles. You can see for miles here in Lubbock. So if you're looking for that luscious greenery, Lubbock is going to be very flat, very dry, very brown, especially in the winter and spring months. Usually sometimes in the summer months, but there's not going to be those beautiful luscious trees or mountain bike trails or anything like that that you're thinking of here in Lubbock, Texas. However, I will say that Lubbock has some of the best sunsets I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. There's been plenty of songs written about those sunsets here in West Texas. If you don't take my word for it, come on out and see how beautiful these sunsets can really be, and they might offset how flat it is here. Number 2, there's nothing to do here. I get that a lot. I know that if you are looking for a nightclub, nightlife entertainment like you would find in one of the bigger metro hubs here in Texas, that's not Lubbock. Lubbock doesn't have those hustle bustle nightclubs, raves, just big party scene in their downtown area. Lubbock is more of the country vibe. Shout out to the local country venues all around Lubbock. Blue Light, Cook's Garage, Cactus Theater. There are so many Lubbock country scenes here in this city, but you're not going to get the crazy nightclubs that you will find, in the other parts of town. Number 3, minimal corporate presence. You won't find much of corporate America here in Lubbock. Lubbock is more of the chill, laid-back vibes that have a predominance in agriculture, small-town businesses, startups, and small local chains. Hey, I'm Sam Riddle, your local real estate expert here in Lubbock, Texas. And if you're tired of the busy hustle and bustle scene of where you currently live, you're looking for that more laid-back lifestyle, well then Lubbock, Texas is definitely your place to come and take a look at or to call home. I help people all the time make a move to Lubbock, Texas, and I absolutely love it. So if you're looking for that small town charm with big city amenities, Lubbock might just be for you. Career growth often hinges on entrepreneurship, local growth from inside of your company, or remote work. So if you are looking to work remote in corporate jobs where they might have a headquarters, somewhere near the big cities around Lubbock, well, Lubbock could be a place for you to work because it would be a great remote place. It is a lot more often than not somewhere where people want to come and work remote than have to go into the office because we don't have those big corporate jobs that you would find in the bigger metroplexes here in Texas. They have a really big focus on agriculture and school and Texas Tech University in the medical presence. Those really run our economics here as far as the bigger jobs that encompass Lubbock. And so if you are looking for, that corporate America job, that just might not be something that you'll be able to find here. Number 4, Lubbock is far from any major metroplexes here in Texas. The closest metroplex would be the Dallas area, and that's a minimum of at least 4.5 hours away. Sometimes 4, depending on how fast you drive. But if you're wanting to be next to a big metroplex here in Texas, or even in Oklahoma, some parts of New Mexico, it is going to be a little bit further away from all of the hustle and bustle that you might find in the Austin, Dallas, or Houston area. If you are wanting, big shopping and you only want to experience that a few times a year, and you want to, take the kids on a big shopping spree, or you want to take the kids and do, all the fun stuff in Dallas and Austin, you wouldn't want to make it in a day because that would be miserable. You'd be in your car the whole day. But you can go for a weekend. Dallas is super close, like I said, 4.5 hours away. So if you want to take the kids to Dallas and hop over to Dallas and do the fun things, all the shopping, all the malls in Dallas, it's fun. It's right down the street. But if you're okay with, just staying in Lubbock, we have some amazing boutiques. We have some amazing shops here in Lubbock, where we are the boutique hub, I would say, for shopping. There are tons of cute boutiques, tons of fun little shopping. So we do have some really great shopping if you are maybe missing, oh wait, what if there isn't something like that for me to enjoy? We definitely do have that. It's just not going to be on a larger corporate scale as like the malls that you would find in the Dallas or Houston, Austin area. And also being this remote does play into our weather. And that's what I'm going to talk about next. Number 5 is how bipolar our weather is. We can have winter and snow in the morning, a little bit of springtime in the afternoon, and then it's 100 degrees in the evening. I mean, we have the most diverse climate all in one day, especially in the spring months here in Lubbock, where it just is, you just can't make up your mind. You're gonna have to have 5 jackets in the car. You're gonna be delayering as the day goes on, and you're gonna be putting back stuff on at night. So if you are wanting a consistent temperature, that's not Lubbock. One thing I will say about our weather is the beautiful dust storms that drag in the spring. Right now is springtime in Lubbock. We are in March, and in April. March and April is the windiest time of the year. It is so windy. One of the reasons why I am inside is because of how crazy the wind is right now. It is nuts. We'll have haboobs come in, which are big, big dust storms that just paint the town brown and red. We have tons of tumbleweeds that blow in with the wind. You know, just the other day with the windstorms, I had huge, ginormous tumbleweed at our front door. I mean, it is what it is. You'll just have to, be cautious that it will be blowing as you're driving around town. Of course, with that comes allergies, some dust. You're going to be having allergies. For the first few months while moving to Lubbock, it just is what it is. Have a Zyrtec in your pocket. You'll never be bored with the weather here in Lubbock because you just never truly know what you're going to get, especially in some of the spring months here. Number 6, conservative culture. Lubbock has a deeply rooted conservative culture here in town, from our local officials to our schooling to your daily conversations. You will have or see a predominantly right-leaning town. Now, this may be good or bad depending on what your views are. However, I will say that it is not forced on you in any way, shape, or form. You're not going to be feeling out of place if you do lean or left. You don't have to talk about it. I don't think that we throw it down your throat. I don't think that everywhere you look, you're going to see somebody talking about being conservative or not. I do think that being as remote as we are here in West Texas, we do just tend to lead a little bit more right. We do love our guns here in West Texas. We love hunting here in West Texas. Hunting is a huge thing here in West Texas. So if you do not like to hunt, or you're against guns or conservative and you lean more left, well then Lubbock might not be for you, because it does, like I said, pour over into our schooling system as well. Now, if you don't agree with our politics, well then maybe the job market is not as forgiving either, because we have limited job market inventory if you are looking for some of those bigger corporate jobs that you might find in the Dallas, Austin, Houston area, like I mentioned before. Which brings me to point number 7, which is our limited job market. With fewer big companies around, a lot of our job market tends to lean toward entrepreneurism or local schooling at Texas Tech or in the medical field. The medical field is huge in Lubbock, so is agriculture. So if you want to be in the agricultural world, or you work remote for an agricultural department, or you have to travel for work in the oil industry and you have to go to Midland or even New Mexico, and you want to be home to Lubbock, well then that would be a lot of the jobs that encompass the Lubbock area. If you are wanting to be, in a large accounting firm or a big law office here in Lubbock, you're not going to find those, but you will find some law offices. They just won't be the biggest in Texas, right? So if you just want more of a laid back vibe, you're looking to retire but not completely be out of work, you can find some of those jobs here in Lubbock. It's just not the main focus as what our economy is driven off of. Now let's get into number 8, which is how terrible our roads are. And if you ask anybody living in Lubbock, they will most likely agree with me that driving in Lubbock is definitely an experience, especially when you go more of the downtown area, because that's where you're going to see the cobblestones, the original cobblestones. None of it is paved. It's all cobblestone road downtown. And it is like driving in a bumper car. It is just bumpy, bumpy, bumpy. There's going to be potholes. There is also a ton of construction. There's a lot of it construction. We just passed a new bond to improve our infrastructure for our roads, which is going to be adding more lanes to 98 or to Upland and 98. And so those are just widening our roads, which in return is a positive thing though, if you look at it, because we are growing, we are expanding, we are taking those accommodations into our city because we do have to grow our city because our city is growing in population, which means our roads have to be widened, our streets have to be reconfigured, So Lubbock used to be a small little town and it is just growing and growing and growing. So if you do not like bumpy roads or potholes or construction in the road system, then Lubbock would not be the best place for you because 19th Street is constantly under construction. We're building a new loop that's going to be called the Outer Loop or Loop 88, which is going to be awesome when it's finished, but again, another 10 years down the road. And then also too, like Upland 98, there's a lot more road constructions too that are happening within the city. So everywhere you go, a little bit of bad roads, but also means more growth, which is good for you moving here because at least they're improving the road system. Number 9, most of the time, Lubbock is kind of viewed as a college town life. Lubbock does predominantly revolve around Texas Tech University, Breckham, which I love because I went to school here, but if that might be a good thing or a bad thing depending on what you're looking for. Now, the further north you go, that's going to be predominantly revolving around Texas Tech University. I mean, it goes on school schedule. When the kids are out, it is like a ghost town in North Campus and 19th Street. However, when kids are in school, you can't drive anywhere off of University 19th because it is so packed with students. So that is maybe a downside if you are looking for not to be surrounded by a bunch of college students all the time. But the more south you go, that's where you're going to see the families. That's where you're going to see a lot of the growth in Lubbock. If you've been following along this journey, then you know that Lubbock is growing south and southwest where all the beautiful homes are being built like this one, but you'll be able to find a lot less college vibes than you would be if you are north Lubbock. If you are wanting to go out to the bars, you will be surrounded by a lot of college students. Again, it just depends on what bars you're going to. Like I said, there's not just an overwhelming amount of bars, but a lot of the college students will be at some of the main bars because that's where they like to hang out too. However, a plus sign too is if you are looking to be a real estate investor, a lot of those college students will be paying for rent and can help you with your mortgage if you decide to invest in real estate here in the Lubbock area. It can be very profitable, especially with Texas Tech and Lubbock Christian University here in North Lubbock. Number 10, rapid growth and new construction. With growth comes some growing pains, of course, like I talked about with the road systems. We are growing, we're needing to expand these roads, build new roads. And so with that comes a lot of dust, a lot of construction, a lot of waiting time at stoplights and stop signs, lots of traffic that you may have not seen before. We are getting traffic here in Lubbock. And, if you can't handle the dust and being in a new area of town, Lubbock might not be for you because if you're looking to move to Lubbock, you're most likely going to be looking in a newer construction neighborhood because that's where a lot of the growth is happening is south and southwest of Lubbock. And the affordable prices at a lot of these newer construction homes is out of this world, which is a lot of times driving people to Lubbock, which might be why you're watching this video because of how inexpensive, comparatively speaking to the rest of Texas, are here in Lubbock. However, with that does come dust. It does come living in a spot of town where you're going to be surrounded by construction. You're going to be hearing construction, especially with the wind that brings in the dust. It gets dusty. There's no trees, lack of trees. So, just everything that encompasses new construction, you can think of times 10 here in the southwest Lubbock. Also, with these new developments, you might think that there's going to be a ton of new parks. Well, you are right, but also kind of wrong. There's not always going to be a park in some of these newer developments, which can be a turnoff. So going to number 11 is limited outdoor activities. You are not going to find large mountains, big hiking trails, unless you drive a little bit further out of Lubbock. But if you want to be inside of Lubbock, not have to go more than 10 or 15 minutes, well, there's just not a lot to do if you want to be outdoors. However, I will say that if you are going to be outdoors in the hunting industry, there is tons of hunting here in the Lubbock area. I myself hunt, my husband does too, and that's what he does. And it is awesome if you are looking for a hunting focused town. A lot of people also will drive a little bit further out. They go to Paladaro Canyon, which is about an hour and a half away in Canyon, Texas, which is the second largest canyon compared to the Grand Canyon, which is only an hour and a half outside of our back door, which is pretty awesome. It is beautiful. You can camp there. And so if you are okay with being a little bit away from the hiking and biking trails, then that's perfect. If you are wanting it to be right outside of your window or your door and you want to see the mountains, you want to see the forest, you want to see a green, like I said, Lubbock doesn't have a lot of trees and it's going to be very flat. So you're not going to have a lot of hills, a lot of bike trails that are going to be very accessible. There are a few that are going to be in northeast Lubbock, but it's only a few, so you might get bored of them really quickly. However, which brings me to number 12, which is we don't have a lot of big lakes. So if you're wanting to be very close to a lake, like within 15, 20 minutes, I will say we do have Ransom Canyon and Buffalo Springs Lake, which are great lakes. Buffalo Springs Lake is going to be the public one where you'd be able to go to. You don't have to have a boat. You can go in there. You can just pay for a day pass, enjoy the little beaches, but it's a very small lake. It's not going to be very big. And if you want to drive it, again, about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on, you can go to Lake Allen Henry, which is also gorgeous. And then Possum Kingdom is another 4 hours away in the Dallas area. So if you are wanting something like a bigger lake, a big body of water, or you want a neighborhood with a big body of water, that's just not going to be possible here in Lubbock. We don't have that. We have some bodies of water, but it's not going to be a ton. And I did do a video on Ransom Canyon and Buffalo Springs Lake, so check that out. But that just kind of tells you all about Buffalo Springs and Ransom Canyon and all the houses there in that area. But again, you're not going to be newer neighborhoods with lakes and water parks like you find in, say, the Dallas area. However, if you love to fish and you want to have a fishing boat, my husband loves to fish on Buffalo Springs Lake, which is very convenient to Lubbock. It's 15 minutes away. It's technically, it's right outside of the city limits. And so it is a great little spot for bass fishing, if bass fishing and just a fisherman's boat is what you're looking for. But as far as like big wave boats and mastercraft and party boats and all that fun stuff, lake boats, then tubing boats, then we might want to reconsider. Number 13 is we have a perception that Lubbock is ugly. Well, with the flat terrain, the lack of luscious green trees, the brown grass that makes Lubbock ugly, I can see it. I do understand where you're coming from, especially when all the dust comes in through all the haboobs and during the windy season. It can be ugly at times. However, you get into the summer months and it does become green. The grass outside will become green. The trees that you do have or that you do plant will become green, and you can plant flowers. I will say it does make it hard to plant a lot of things here in Lubbock because of how crazy our weather is and how dense and our soil is. It's just very dusty and red dirt. It does make it hard to grow a luscious garden, but it's not impossible if you have raised flower beds. I have seen it done here. Which brings me to point number 14, which is Lubbock is windy. I talked about our weather, which yes, like any other city in Texas, we do have some bipolarness. It's not insane, except if you're not used to it, be prepared for the wind. The wind is going to be prominent here in Lubbock regardless of the year, especially right now in the springtime. It is so windy. I wish you could hear how crazy it is outside. And this Friday is supposed to be, 70 plus miles per hour wind. So you're going to have some windy months, some windy days, some windy weeks. And so if wind is just you are coming from a place that's windy and you do not want to live in another place that's windy and you do not want to see tumbleweed blowing across your street, don't come to Lubbock. Because you will see it. It will be windy and you will see haboobs and it will be brown and it will be ugly for those times. But again, like I said, after the wind, I always say, expect a beautiful, beautiful bluebird day after. It's just getting rid of all the stuff in the air and blowing in, getting it out and bringing in a beautiful, beautiful day the next day. And number 15 is there's nothing to do here mentality. I hear that a lot. What is there to do in Lubbock? Well, to be honest with you, like I said before, if you are one of those people that is looking for big theme parks, you want to be going to outdoor recreational facilities all day, all the time on the weekend. You want to be hiking and biking every day that you're outside, that you're able to. It's just not going to be here. But if you're looking for a good art scene, we have some amazing artists here in Lubbock. The art district downtown Lubbock is absolutely gorgeous. And we have the First Friday Art Trail. We have the Wolfers Farmers Market every Saturday. Some more laid back vibes. We have so many concerts at Cook's Garage, so there are a lot of things to do. It's just finding them and knowing what to do where you're not seeing the big amusement parks or the big forests and mountains and everything behind you. There's a lot of things to do in our town. Like I said, entrepreneurism is huge here. And so there's always events going on within our community. We are a very, very tight-knit community, and people love to get together and hang out. And so if you are more of a homebody, you want to meet your neighbor, you want to go fishing with your neighbor, you want to go to the Wolford's Farmers Market with your neighbor, that's the kind of vibe that you're going to find here. But if you are looking to just be you and your family and you are going to go to the water park that day, we do have one water park. It's not the best water park, but it's just a little different, just a little bit of different vibes. Again, there are things to do, but people don't think that there's things to do because we don't have the big corporate headquarters of water parks, amusement parks, outdoor stuff that you find in those bigger towns of Texas. At the end of the day, it's all about perspective, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder and what you're looking for in a town. If you're looking for small town charm, Lubbock is definitely the town for you. So there you have it, 15 reasons why Lubbock just might not be your cup of tea. However, if you can handle the flat terrain, the slower pace of life, and the laid-back vibe here in this town, well then Lubbock is an amazing place to call home. If you are local or really still considering Lubbock after this crazy 15 things, well then I'd love to help you really hone in on which neighborhood might be a best fit for you and your family. Or if Lubbock is truly a great fit for you, or if you still have questions about Lubbock, drop a comment below or call or text this number, and I'd love to connect with you, meet you, and help you really answer any questions that you have about the Lubbock area and help you make a smooth transition to Lubbock in the future. And until next time, we'll see you around.